And hello, Christopher Stroh with the McGuire Law Firm here. In this video today, we want to talk about what is Form 5471 used for. The Form 5471 is used to report a U.S. shareholder's interest in a foreign corporation. What is a shareholder's interest, a U.S. shareholder's interest in a foreign corporation? Well, let's break that down for a second. First, you need to be a U.S. shareholder. That's a U.S. person, individual, or entity. Partnerships could also be considered a U.S. person. When a U.S. person owns a specified interest in a foreign corporation, that kicks in the filing obligations for the Form 5471. So we have a U.S. person. Let's just use the example of an individual owns an interest in a foreign corporation. The second part of that, a U.S. shareholder is a person who owns 10% or more of that foreign corporation. And that 10% is determined through voting rights of the foreign corporation, or the value of the foreign corporation. So you need to look at both aspects in order to determine if you are going to be a U.S. shareholder. If you are a U.S. shareholder, you are a U.S. person who owns more than 10%, you may have to file that Form 5471. Let's broaden that example out just a little bit more. Let's say you're a U.S. person who owns greater than 50% of the foreign corporation. Now you are deemed in control of that foreign corporation. And so now you have an obligation again to file Form 5471. What that Form 5471 does, though, is it breaks out different types of shareholders. So if you're a U.S. shareholder who only owns 10%, you have a different filing obligation with respect to the 5471 than someone who owns greater than 50%. Obviously, the person who owns greater than 50% has to report a whole lot more information. One of the problems people run into with the Form 5471 is they don't realize that they're an owner in a foreign corporation. What we find is a lot of people think they own an interest in a foreign LLC. Foreign LLCs default under U.S. tax law to be treated as an association taxable as a corporation. So if you own an interest in what we would consider a foreign LLC or a foreign corporation, you should check and see if you need to file a Form 5471. Thanks.